Hey, everybody, welcome back to another kind of, not really, sort of short review. Maybe this is a long review or short-ish review, but I'll think of the title, I guess, eventually. And look who's back! Look who's back! That guy! That guy!
Back again. OGP's back. Tell a friend. Hello, John. I am the notorious OGP, the theater goer himself, and very happy to be back with you, talking about another fun movie or a movie that we expected to be fun. Let's not spoil ourselves here, right?
Well, we did a video before this, and I'm going to say the same thing that I said at the beginning of that video. I don't know what movie people were seeing. They said critical drinker, all these people that and I think it was even like Mr. H reviews and some of these other people were saying that this is confusing. It's kind of boring. It's a mess. That Dead Reckoning is better. And I completely disagree with that. So, kind of like our last video, I want to do a ranking right now, or like a star, 1 out of 5 for the final. Because first of all, what movie are we talking about? We're talking about this one right here. Here we go.
Talking about the final reckoning, not like one of the last reckonings. This is the final
one. We didn't get to see. We only got to see one other reckoning, and that's it. So, but
spoiler alert: when Ethan Hunt gets sucked through the propeller blades of that there airplane, and his blood goes everywhere, the movie ends very, very sadly. So I wouldn't take children.
Wow, you saw, once again, I don't know what movie you saw. Apparently a completely different movie.
A Mission Impossible from the asylum, right?
Oh, God. Yeah, what would their title be? Would it be like, Mission Impossible or?
No, Mission? it would be Impossible Mission.
Oh, they would just
flip it.
Would they put a subtitle on it? The Last Reckoning?
The final reckoning.
So
maybe it'll be the Final Reckoning, but they just put like a W in front of the R, like the Final Reckon. No, they probably would. Yeah, the Last Reckoning.
The Last Reckoning. I kind of like the W in there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I reckon it's Mission Impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is the latest Mission Impossible movie. I wanted to review this sooner than now. So if I'm giving this a rating, I did like it better than Dead Reckoning. Did I like it better than the other films? No. So I would still give this, if we're doing a 1 out of 5, I think that I would give this one a 3.5, where I would probably give like Dead Reckoning a 3, because I do think this is a better movie. Where would you put it?
You know what? I was initially, I think I might have been a little bit higher. After digesting, thinking about other action movies and where these fall into my favorites, I do think I would also give it a 3.5. I kind of want to even lean maybe like to a 3.75 if we can do that. Closer to a 4 than a 3.5, somewhere in there, because it is very well done. You have to give Tom Cruise credit for the way he still does his own stunts, and crazy ass stunts, being around 60 years old or whatever when at the time they were filming this, or late 50s.
Yeah.
That is impressive stuff. And the fact that so much of this was not done in front of a green screen, I love that in an action movie, because nowadays, you look at Marvel, they don't even go outside. It's just, we're going to shoot in front of a green screen. Screw it, the whole thing.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so, so for this to be done the way it was done, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. On the flip side of the coin, where I love that so much, I do not care for 3-hour action movies. So it lost a little bit there. I think they could have trimmed down, but I wouldn't be able to tell you where right off the bat, because, well, I probably could. At the beginning, we pat Tommy on the back quite a bit. Like, oh,
He's very
Ethan,
much the Messiah.
yeah, Ethan, oh, you're so great. We get this a lot. It's almost like we're letting everybody know that this is Tom Cruise' final Mission Impossible movie. And so we're giving him the goodbye that we got in Final Destination with the Candyman, where Candyman is like, goodbye, everybody. I'm done. And, because he was really sick with cancer and we knew he was going to die. So,
Tony Todd. Yeah.
yes. And so I think with this, we were kind of going, Ethan Hunt is going around saying his goodbyes to everybody, or they're patting him on the back and stuff. And I think that was kind of to tease the audience, to make the audience go, they're not going to kill him at the end of this, are they? They can't kill Tom Cruise. But I think they tried to make us question whether they would or not. And there was a lot of fluff right there that I thought, we could trim this down. Otherwise, the action, the story, the second act and the third act, fire, phenomenal. Just go, go, go. Getting there in the first act, we could have tidied up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's when Dead Reckoning came out, I did a video on why I think it failed, and there were a lot of factors in that. Of course, it came out when Barbie was there, and
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, so that ruled for a while, and then you had the was it Sound of Freedom? Is that the one with the kids?
With Jesus Christ.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's Sound of Freedom, and that was unexpected to make as much money as it did, because even Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dysentery failed. And
I don't think the Sound of Freedom made a ton of money, but it definitely took away from some other movies' earnings.
Oh yeah, because it was a surprise, and so I do think, I agree with you I don't think movies need to be 3 hours. I think that AI was a problem with it, because I think people are tired of AI. And since the film, Dead Reckoning was, they didn't release it for like 2 years because of COVID and stuff. I think that they were banking on, because of Top Gun Maverick. And this tells you how far. I think Tom Cruise said to do Dead Reckoning and the Final Reckoning, it was 7 years. So, because if you go to see Top Gun Maverick, he did one of his thank you intros, and he's on this plane. This is where he did that thank you. Was this? So they were shooting this years ago, and it just kind of sat there while they filmed everything else. So there's such a long thing, and I think maybe at the time, when they did the AI, maybe it would have done better. But I think, as much as I like Tom Cruise and I like Dead Reckoning, I think Dead Reckoning is a mess. I don't. It just doesn't. The AI thing, it doesn't work for me as maybe as other things, the Terminator. For Terminator 3, where all the missiles do launch, and stuff, where the computers and the machines take over. I thought that worked better. But with the Final Reckoning, even that they didn't even, Dead Reckoning was part 1. This was supposed to be Dead Reckoning part 2. They changed it because that one didn't do as much money. I still don't think that this needed to be 3 hours, or 2 hours and 50 minutes. but it felt more complete to me. I feel that this was more of a Mission Impossible movie than Dead Reckoning was. And because you do have the villain who's going to blow up the world, and Tom Cruise and his team have to find it and stop it. And that's what basically Mission Impossible is. You have the one thing that is going to release a virus or, really, or blow up half the world. And then they have to go, figure it out. So to me, I don't understand when some of these reviewers, the bigger ones, are saying it's confusing, it's a jumbled mess. I followed it and I saw it twice. I followed it perfectly fine. It was I don't get what they're complaining about. I think it's a better movie than than Dead Reckoning, and I only give it a 3.5 because you have, oh God, I can't believe I'm blanking on it. I have it right in my head too. Fallout is the best one, and that's at least a 4.5. And I tend to even think that Mission Impossible 2 is better than Dead Reckoning. And a lot of people consider that to be the worst one. So I don't get their problem with this, but did it make as much? It made less money than Dead Reckoning, but it did make money. So it made the least amount of money of all of them.
Ouch. Well, but I mean, it's only been out for a little while now. Give it time. Those numbers will continue to grow. So give it some time. I added a picture down below there if you want to share that. John, there's Tommy with his thank you with the airplane. And then you can see the rig, the camera rig, where they were actually filming the Final Reckoning on airplanes. It wasn't, in a studio. This was on flying airplanes. So that's kind of cool. So I thought I saw that. I thought I would share it.
Well, yeah, because you went in to see Top Gun Maverick, and then you get this little intro, and it's like, what is this for? Well, what is he making? And then you see the trailer for Final Reckoning, and there it is. It's it's him on the plane doing his thing. He's got the same clothes on and everything. He's got the leather jacket and all that stuff. So it's so maybe we were talking about Rebecca Ferguson and why she didn't come back for this one, and she had her reasons of and she wasn't wrong when it was that there's like not really a script. There is a script, but there isn't a script. And, there's a lot of waiting around, and they kind of, think up these things on the spot. Of course, her character died, but I figured that maybe she would come back, because her death was, I thought so lame. Yeah. But, she had other things to do. And, Hallie Atwell, she kind of replaced her in a way. Somebody had mentioned, and I think it's the woman that was in Ghost Protocol that was on the team. I don't know what her name is, but I think that she had mentioned that there can really only be one woman on, in each movie. Like you can't really have two. And so she said that she felt that was weird, that like the women kind of don't continue, but they get replaced.
I think if you take, and you take you have a female cast member on the team, on the IMF, and then you have a love interest, and then let's just say now we have conflict, the one's jealous of the other or whatever, one's still secretly in love or whatever, then you're getting a little close to some James Bond stuff. So I think not having like a real love interest aside from like a wife, or maybe one girl without conflict of, are we are we with this girl or are we with the other girl or who are we in love with? Not having that drama, I think, keeps it Mission Impossible its own identity instead of feeling like we're getting, you know, a little too James Bondish, a little too James Bondage.
Oh, those are the adult ones. Because I tend to think that this whole series, like 1, 2, and 3 are its own thing, and then 3, 4, and 5 are its own thing, and then, you know, which would be you know, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout, and then Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning are its own thing, because they do what is.
I'm giving you the headline because you said 1, 2, and 3 were its own thing, and then 3, 4, and 5 are its own thing.
Oh, did I mess that up? Okay, so 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 are its own thing, and then 7 and 8 are its own thing. There we go. Thank you.
While we're at it, everybody, if you would hit that thumbs up button, it helps John's channel quite a bit. It's a very simple thing to do. And let us know down below. Did you like this movie? What's your favorite Mission Impossible movie? Type some comments.
Yeah, let us know, because it's a. And who out there has watched the TV series? There were 2 incarnations of the original Mission Impossible series. I do have the entire collection of the original ones. And then there was one in the 90s that Peter Graves came back for, because he was in the original series. And I think that lasted maybe 2 or 3 seasons, but I don't own that one yet.
And the original one is Mission Impossible. Diaper training Ethan Hunt, or potty training, getting Ethan out of diapers. That was the impossible mission.
Yes, because he did not want to.
No, he didn't. He was like 2 years old. And he's like, I'm sticking with these diapers.
Yeah, he's sticking with those diapers, and he's still jumping off of roofs, you know, crashing cars, even at 2 years old. So
yeah,
it was an interesting show. Every episode of the original series was him doing something different at 2 years old, and they had to somehow stop him. So, you know,
and he had a talking dog.
Yes, named Ralph. My issues with the last 2, with Dead Reckoning and the Final, you know, Reckoning, are they retcon, and I don't like that like with you know, with Simon Pegg's character, that they bring up this thing in Dead Reckoning where it's the choice. So if you're a computer hacker and you get caught, instead of going to prison, they give you the choice to join, you know, MIF. And then they talk like, oh, well, we all did the choice. No, they didn't. They didn't do the choice. You know, Simon Pegg's character, and I'm blanking on his freaking name. What
Frank.
is his name? Nope. Close.
Joe.
Close.
Quagmire.
Close.
Benji.
It is Benji. You're correct. Benji. And God, getting old sucks. And Benji was a computer guy who helped Ethan, you know, in like an office, and he rose through the ranks. He took the test, he qualified, he could then go out into the field. Ethan even questions that, like, Benji, why are you here? And he goes, I passed the test. And it's just, so there was no choice, which is weird. And so I don't like that they really changed to that. But I don't know. This is still going to be a movie. I'll probably pre-order at $30 or $40, so I can have it. And of course, because I'm an idiot, and sitting right over there are like 5 different versions of each movie, I will probably buy Dead Reckoning if they re-release it without part 1 being on it, just to have the different cover. So it's
that. That's how many copies of Mission Impossible I own.
Well, speaking of, I'm going to show you. Okay, so I have these in order, and just let me know, what did you like it? Did you think, you know, it was okay? It was all right. So this is my small collection.
I'll think about it, but I brought a special guest down below. Hopefully you can see him. I wonder if you want to bring our guest on to hear his commentary on it too.
Hey, Tom,
hey.
How you doing?
Hey, guys, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Tom, for being here. This is a surprise.
Yeah, no problem. Did you like my movie?
I do. I love it. In fact, I'm drinking out of a Top Gun Maverick mug. I'm having my coffee in that. And so thank you. Thank you for being here, Tommy. I really appreciate it. Can I call you Tommy?
I feel the need for speed.
well, we'll have to go find a dealer for that after we do this.
Tommy's a crack addict.
That's how we could do everything.
Yeah. We love you anyways, Tommy.
We do. So I have here, so this is the 25th anniversary, newly remastered, and it includes a collectible card decal. So we have.
I gotta go now. Bye, guys.
Oh, bye. Oh, well, it was nice doing a little cameo. So, so what did you think of the original film? You don't have to go into great detail on it. Did you like it? Did you not like it?
Oh, so compared to the later films, it's a little rough, but that's 90s technology, but it's still very good. And when it comes to movie franchises, I usually am partial to the first film in the franchise. And even with Friday the 13th, I like the first one the best, even though it's not Jason Voorhees. So, you know, I do usually have a bias toward the first one. And that definitely is in play with this franchise. The first one, because either you fall in love with the franchise or you don't. And usually it's not, oh, I fell in love because of part 2. It's we fell in love with the franchise because of the first one. And I think it was great. And like it shows on the cover right there, the scene with him falling to the floor, you know, is great. And the behind the scenes with how that was done and how long it took and everything was very fun to watch too. So that was great. And especially how they go from that movie all the way to Dead Reckoning, and they have Final Reckoning, they have a connection from the first one. So I like that. But
I did like that they did that they connected it to some of the other movies. So this is the sticker that I will never take off. It'll just stay inside the box here. So so put this thing back.
Here's my thing with this franchise, because there's 8 of them. I wasn't sure going into the new one coming out. I wanted to see the previous 7, and which I had, not too long ago seen Dead Reckoning. But I said, I'm just going to watch all 7 again, because honestly, I didn't know if I had seen them all. And there were at least 2 I know I had never seen before. So going in, I was like, I want to watch these. With all of them, I had a good time. And there were some that were clearly better than others. But I'm old, and watching 8 movies and trying to decipher, I'm lost. But I can tell you, so as far as ranking or any of that, or giving them great scores, I can tell you, I really enjoyed that first one. And if I didn't, I would have messaged you, John, and said, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do the Mission Impossible video with you. We'll pass, and you go ahead and do that. But I did enjoy it, and so I was like, you know what? Let's go, man. Put on part 2. Let's do this. And so it definitely kicked the franchise off right for me. So I really like it. It is in the series one of my favorites.
Okay, great. And then we have part 2, which is considered to be the worst one. I don't know, maybe now because of Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning, I'm not sure, but I have come to enjoy this movie. So I like part 2.
Is part 2 where they fly the helicopter through the windmills?
No, that's 3. Okay. This is the one with the motorcycles that he's rock climbing at the very beginning.
Oh yeah.
And it's got the Metallica song, and I think it's Limp Bizkit that plays in here too.
Yeah. So
But
I
it's
understand it's one of the weaker of the franchise for sure, but it's still fine. It's still a good watch.
yeah. And then part 3, which is one of my favorites, probably my second favorite one. So
Part 3 is hysterical because, and I'm mentioning, if assuming that's the one with the windmills and flying through them, it's hysterical because there's this scene where they're in the helicopter and they're flying and they're going through all the windmills, which are out in Palm Springs, California, but they are flying around what is supposedly this big like uh factory, like warehouse kind of thing, and that is like in Fontana, California. And so as they're flying, they're like, we're here, we're here, we're here. They are, in reality, jumping 50 miles, 50 miles there, 50 miles there, 50 miles there, 50 miles there, but it's all supposed to be in one place. I like that because I live in Southern California and I'm very familiar with these areas. I spend a lot of time in Palm Springs. Not because of what Palm Springs is all about. I got family and stuff out there, but I know these places. And so for me to see, I love seeing places in movies and being able to go like, I've been there or whatever. And so that was pretty cool, but it was a fun adventure, a lot far-fetched. Like most Mission Impossible movies are kind of far-fetched, but the helicopter actually flying through the windmill, I'm like, this is terrible, but it was fun. That's all that matters.
wow, yeah. Okay, wow, okay, that's
you're not gonna fly a
one.
helicopter. Number one, those windmills are big. They're not that big. And two, like those blades, those things get to moving. You're not gonna get a helicopter in between there without getting hit. You're just not. So
Okay, all right. And this is the one. So part 1 made a good amount of money. Part 2 made more money than part 1. Part 3 made less than the other 2. So this is also that weird time in Tom Cruise's life where he was like jumping on sofas and talking to was it Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, and he was doing all that really weird Scientology stuff, and so there was they waited for a while to do the next one. Paramount dumped him, Paula Wagner dumped him, and so it took a little bit, and then he made up with Paramount, and they said, okay, look, part 3 didn't do great, so we're going to do Ghost Protocol. And if it bombs, we're going to give this to Jeremy Renner because apparently he's the guy that takes things over. Like Harrison Ford used to do that. And so Jeremy Renner's in this. They did not expect much from Ghost Protocol. And if it had bombed and they wanted to continue it, Tom might have had a cameo in the next movie, and that's about it. And then it would have been Jeremy Renner. Instead, this thing made bank. And that was it. This is what Mission Impossible became, was this movie. So
it was okay. It was okay. That's the one he's climbing on the outside of the building and they have the big dust storm and he's running away.
The Burj Khalifa.
That is where Mission Impossible became like epic. It was an adventure. It was a fun adventure before, but this, you are doing epic things here now. And so it really took the adventure to a grander scale. So I can understand that. And it probably is, if not the best, like, one of the, best, at least 2 or 3 in the franchise.
Yeah. A lot of people consider this or Fallout to be the best. So, and then of course, because that made a ton of money, they then would do Rogue Nation. And that was our introduction to Rebecca Ferguson. And it's Jeremy Renner is still in it. So Ving Rhames, I've thought, and I think this is true, which is also probably why they give a second, spoiler, he dies in Final Reckoning. Because I think he's probably sick or something, because in Dead Reckoning, he's not in the last part. And he goes, I have to go somewhere. I got to be off the grid. So, the entity doesn't find me. And I think that, and he's the only one that's been in every single one, even though he only has a cameo in Ghost Protocol, because I think Jeremy Renner kind of took over that role. But this has probably the greatest bike chase I've ever seen. I mean, that's the scene where his knee hits the ground and he quickly brings it back up, so it's real.
That's where they're up in the mountains and stuff, right? And he's on the bike, she's in a car or something like that, or they're both on bikes. Then they're both on bikes. Car?
No, the second one is the cars up in the mountains. Okay. This one is both motorcycles.
Okay. And that was good.
Yeah. So this one is I think is really good. Then we got, what most
and I'm a big Jeremy Renner fan. I wish Jeremy Renner would have stayed around or been in more, but I understand Jeremy Renner was kind of like on the cusp where he wasn't Tom Cruise, but he was now on par with Matt Damon and with some of these other major actors. And so how do you keep Jeremy Renner and Tom Cruise both in this franchise? It would have been tough. So I understand moving on, but I like Jeremy Renner.
Oh yeah. And he wasn't in Fallout because he was doing, Marvel stuff. He was doing one of the Avenger movies. So, you can't feel sorry for him not being in this, because he was out making a movie that, would make over $1 billion. So
correct. Plus Fallout is where the franchise falls off.
Well,
I kid.
But to a degree, you're correct. This did make the most money. This is a fan favorite. It's got Henry Cavill, and this is the notorious mustache. So when they went back to do the reshoots for Justice League, and they're like, oh yeah, if you give us $1 million, we'll have him shave off his mustache. That would be Paramount. And Marvel's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we're just CGI it out. And it looked awful. But this has great fight scenes. And this has got the Jeremy Renner pump, the fist pump when they're fighting in the bathroom, which he has never completely been able to redo on talk shows. So, which leads us then
that I just want to say Henry Cavill's character in that, you kind of knew he was going to be a shithead bad guy. But man, really, really hated that character. So that when I watch a movie, I don't want to just go like, oh, this is fun. I want to get invested, emotionally invested. And when I hate a character like I did with Henry Cavill's character, it adds something to it. And so it just really I think that was their intention. I think they wanted us to hate him, even though we were supposed to believe for a while that he was on the right side of things. Even though he was against the IMF, he was supposedly on the right side of things, but he was a shithead all the way through, and I hated him.
Yeah, I'm blanking. Angela Bassett. So she assigns him to the team, but he's the hammer. So he's the guy that is, if he has to punch through a wall, he will. So he was the hammer, but he ended up being part of the syndicate, and which I think is one of the best things that Mission Impossible did. I love the syndicate. It's very James Bond. I love that. And the actor who plays the lead is in, both of these, as the leader of the syndicate. And I think he does a great job. And that disappoints me that it didn't continue, that the syndicate is gone and they went to, Dead Reckoning, which is why I think it's kind of on its own. I think it's just, I like it, but I think it's kind of a mess. I can always watch it. I think the villain, not AI, not the entity, but I think the main bad guy here with his knives and all that, and what happens to Rebecca Ferguson is just no. I'm not buying it. I think it was a very bad decision.
Yeah, my thing with that one is it was announced as the first of two, or like the first half. You know, and so like you mentioned earlier, where Final Reckoning feels more like a Mission Impossible film than this one, because this one they're going after this key. It's just this key, and it's not saving the world. It's not saving something major. It's just getting this key. And when he gets the key, it's a little if it was the end, it would be very anticlimactic, but it's a little anticlimactic because he has the key. And then, you know, the bad guy's like, oh shit, I don't have the key. I'm so mad now. And, you know, then we move on to the next movie. If this was supposed to be a standalone movie, man, they would have had to change that script a lot, because you couldn't just go after a key. You're not saving the world or anything. You're not saving something huge. So
yeah, because this is the MacGuffin, and I don't. It's not. You know, we know what it is. The key. It's supposed to turn off the entity in the submarine, which it does more or less. You know, in Final Reckoning, this is a replica. It's the exact size. The only thing is these aren't painted, so I thought of maybe painting them the jewel colors, and it does pull apart. So you have the two separate keys, and you know, you put it together and it makes the actual key. So this thing was actually pretty cheap. I got it off of eBay, so I think it's really cool. And it's thick plastic, so it's not just going to break, which is nice. But that is my problem with. I think the entity is too much of a thing. It's too big. Why can't it get into? Which is why I liked the Final Reckoning, and because the entity has taken over. There is chaos. It's going to launch missiles, and it's so to me. Like I said, I don't know if you've seen the Batman movies, like the Tim Burton stuff, those Batman movies with Joel Schumacher. But people love Batman Forever and they hate Batman and Robin. I like Batman and Robin and I don't like Batman Forever. And some of that is because Batman Forever is a mess. And that's because so much was re-edited. There's a lot of stuff removed. And the movie doesn't make a lot of sense. And Jim Carrey isn't playing the Riddler. He's just kind of playing Jim Carrey. But in Batman and Robin, there is a story. You know what's happening throughout the entire film. It's not confusing. It's better edited. It's better shot. So people may hate Batman and Robin, but in my opinion, it's the better movie because it's better made. It's got a better story. So, and you like story. So for me, you know, Final Reckoning has the better story. And I do like that Ethan is kind of looked at like a messiah. I think that's you would think after 8 movies or 7 movies, now on the 8th, that people would call him, you know, to save the world, that he is the one guy that could do it. And then this is so that's the new team.
Yeah.
So that's
it's funny because we were just talking about, you know, usually one woman, you know, one main lead woman, where in this one, what's her name? Paris, right? With the glasses on there.
Yeah.
She was about to die at the end of Dead Reckoning. And then, so, you know, she comes back because the connection they made, the bond they formed at the end of Dead Reckoning, you know, she joins the team. And I thought she was absolutely great in this. She was one of my favorite characters in
In fact,
Final
I'll throw up this picture here. And she's got the little kind of tube top there, and she's got the scar. You can't see it, but it's the scar from where Gabriel stabbed her.
Yeah.
But and this is when they're walking her in prison, and then Ethan and the guys, rescue her. And she was the best thing in Dead Reckoning. She was so good in Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
And and I'm really happy that they brought her back. Because she does, kick ass in this. Haley Atwell is I think she's absolutely beautiful. I really liked her in Dead Reckoning. But she's not an action person, while Paris is. And then it's interesting with the black guy that's there is he was questioning in Dead Reckoning, like, well, what if Ethan's right? What if he's doing the right thing? What if we're looking at this in a completely different way and ends up joining the team?
Yeah.
So, and then here you got, Benji. So he's, Benji's also still there. So, and I love the connections that they make to the other movies, with, the rabbit's foot, what is the rabbit's foot? Because in part 3, we never find out.
Yeah.
Now we do. Do I completely buy it? Not really, but okay. I'll, sure. Why not? It's fun. I'm enjoying it. And, this one is when it comes out on Blu-ray, when I will watch it the day I get it. I'll rewatch it. I think twice is good for now.
Well, will you, when it comes out, let's go into the special features and see, is there audio commentary? Do you watch it first by itself again, or do you watch audio commentary right away?
I would have to. I watch it first, and then because like on Dead Reckoning, over 30 minutes of special features, audio commentary by the director and the editor, and then plus go inside, incredible stunts, locations, and more. So they always do. McQuarrie seems to always do audio commentary. Yeah, like even on this, on Fallout, the commentary is by Christopher McQuarrie, or McHugh, as Tom Cruise calls him, and Tom Cruise.
See, if it was, if when it comes out, if the audio commentary has Tom Cruise on it, I'm going straight to that. I'm not needing to watch it again without the audio commentary, but I definitely would. I mean, I could watch it again. I'm not saying I couldn't or wouldn't want to, but I would at this point be more interested in hearing the audio commentary.
Yeah, even on Rogue Nation, it's Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie. They seem to like, even this one says, and director's commentary. This is Brad Bird, the guy from Pixar. So they seem to have this. Part 3, which I find to be funny, is it's directed by J.J. Abrams before he was J.J. Abrams. So he was still doing Alias, and Tom Cruise watched the show and said, hey, I want you to direct part 3. It was originally Joe Carnahan, and it just didn't work out, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But this is also written by one of the worst writers out there, who is Alex Kurtzman. He directed The Mummy, which I did like, but he's destroyed Star Trek. He's the guy that took over Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
And made it all broke, and it's all, it's garbage. And of course, this is John Woo, and then the first one is Brian De Palma. So and Christopher McQuarrie is Tom Cruise's guy. That's the guy that does all the rewrites on everything. Jack Reacher, all that stuff. He's involved in that, and of course, he won the Academy Award for Best Screenwriter for The Usual Suspects. So and then he made a great film that got him blacklisted for years in Hollywood called Way of the Gun, which is great. And then Cruise picked him up. Yeah, it is really good. And it's Tarantino-ish, came out around that time. Yeah. But when I went to the theater and saw this on Thursday, they weren't giving anything away, which I was really bummed about. And then the next day, I hit a different place, and they had the posters, which are hanging on my wall. And so I'm not going to go get them because it's a pain in the butt. Okay. But they were very big Final Reckoning posters, the biggest ones that they've ever given away. So it's really nice that they did that. But when I went to go see Ballerina, they had sitting out there, it was a black like briefcase, and it says, you know, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, and then you open it and I guess you could put like popcorn and candy and all that type of stuff in it. That was $50.
Yeah,
like,
it's expensive.
that's, you know, but instead this was like $30, and I decided to get it. And let me see here.
You should remove your big picture so everybody could see it better.
Oh, thank you. I just like.
So, do you know? Have you looked at the Rotten Tomato scores for the franchise?
No. Would you like to?
So, oh, I have been. It's interesting. The first one gets a 65 expert score, which I kind of understand that score. Fans were a little bit higher at 71. Okay. Part 2, we know, looking at it as like the weakest, 57. So it's not certified fresh or anything. And the fans gave it a 42. The fans hated it. Then we start to turn around. We get Mission Impossible 3, where we have a 73. So we're, you know, tomato meter, we're doing okay. Fans are at 69. So fans still really aren't sold. But then that's where things get really fun with this franchise and very interesting. Ghost Protocol, 94 from the experts. Fans are still not there, though. They're at a 76. So then after Ghost Protocol is Rogue Nation. Rogue Nation, 98 from the experts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the fans give it an 89. So, oh, no. I thought that said Rogue Nation. I'm reading the wrong one. Let me fucking Rogue Nation. Sorry, this is the wrong one. 94, and the fans gave it an 87. Fans loved it. Experts loved it. But then after Rogue Nation, Fallout comes along, and Fallout is the one, 98 and 89. So everybody loved Fallout. But the interesting trend is that Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning are all in the 90s. Dead Reckoning is the second highest expert rated of them all at 96. 96. And the fans gave it 94. A 94 from the fans. I think that is the highest rated fan score of the franchise.
Wow.
Let's
But
see,
yet
Fallout
it underperformed
89.
even with those good reviews.
I know. That's what's so interesting. And the fact that I do agree that I think Final Reckoning is better than Dead Reckoning. We are in the minority because Final Reckoning gets an 80. We did 4 movies in a row, or maybe even 5, right? We did 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row that were in the 90s. And then this one fell down to an 80. But the fans still loved it and gave it an 89. So experts said it was good, but not nearly as good as the last 4. But the fans still loved it just as much. So it's interesting that the experts have it down at an 80. Because, I mean, it was damn good. I mean, submarines and airplanes and all this shit going on. I wonder, and maybe, hey, those experts, sometimes they just got to find shit to pick on. And that's why I think, like, for example, with Ballerina, which we talked about on a recent video, Ballerina, people like Jeremy Johns, I think they were just, they're just looking for something to pick apart with the movie. They don't want to admit any movie's perfect, so they got to just find something to say is wrong, and they come up with some insane stuff sometimes. And I think that's where they're just nitpicking with this. The only thing that I would give them at all with Final Reckoning is maybe a little too much patting Tommy on the back at the beginning. Otherwise, it was a great movie. I sat in my seat the entire 3 hours. I didn't get up once. Normally, a movie that long, I'm getting up to go to the bathroom at least once. Plus, I was in my seat like 20 or 30 minutes before the movie started. I was there 3.5 hours, didn't move, didn't move. I was locked in. It was great. So, yeah, it's interesting with the scores, but that's why we've got to watch for ourselves. We've got to make our own decisions, and then we watch YouTube videos like these where we talk about them to see, you know, why does this person feel like this, or, you know, am I right or am I wrong, or forget right or wrong. If you like it, sometimes it's nice to hear, you know, other people that are agreeing with you or whatever, or disagreeing for whatever reason, you know, to kind of enlighten you without getting on a pedestal and going, this movie is not good, and I am the authority, so you will not like this movie because I said so. Judge and Judge Smale's rules. So you know, if Judge Smales talks, we listen.
You are very Caddyshack, sir. Very
Thank
Caddyshack. You. Sure.
Well, show your popcorn bucket, sir. I'm dying to see this.
Okay. Well, I'll say this, that there's a lot of things really kind of like when Top Gun Maverick came out, it made $1 billion without even going to China. And where that film probably would have made $2 billion if it did, they had a problem with the Tibet patch that's on the jacket that Tom Cruise was wearing, and they refused to take it off. So, and you even have Spielberg going, you saved Hollywood, Tom Cruise. You saved Hollywood. So it's the only Tom Cruise movie to hit $1 billion. It's the only Paramount movie to hit $1 billion. And you got Spielberg saying that he saved Hollywood. And you got him flying up on his plane, thanking everybody. And then Dead Reckoning doesn't do great. So I think that they were relying on all of this stuff, and it didn't pay off.
Yeah.
For Dead Reckoning.
I understand these are major franchises and these are both Tom Cruise, but we have 8 Mission Impossible movies. We have 2 Top Gun movies. So people are going to get a little more excited, especially about a movie that we waited almost 40 years for. So, man, I'm telling you, Top Gun, man, Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, 2 of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, they're awesome films. Yeah. So, well, so I'll show this first. This is what they gave out for Dead Reckoning. They also gave out a poster, but that's hanging up on my wall. So they gave you a button or like a little thing there. It says Mission Impossible, and it's the IMF. So you can just, attach it to your jacket or shirt. So it's like a pin, I guess. So there's that. And then inside my bucket here, I did put my tickets, so I could put them inside the Blu-ray when I get it. And then they sold this, and this is like $30, maybe with tax it was a little more. But it's a metal popcorn tin, and it's showing pictures from the different movies, since they did have links to other movies in here. So I thought this was pretty cool. And it's definitely official. It's on the bottom there. So that's nice. And then they give you a cup, and they put this straw in there for you. And so it's Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning. I only have one other thing like this, and that's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's also metal, but I wasn't as happy with that one because it's Kingdom. I thought Kingdom was okay, but not as good as the other ones. So this is pretty cool. And then you get I haven't taken these out of the plastic yet. I really don't know if I want to or not, but you can kind of see their binoculars that he uses in the movie, and they actually work. You can see through it. Cool. Actually, I think they're supposed to go this way. Yeah. And then you look through it, because the bottom is the cup lid. So you can put it on top of the lid like that.
That's cool. I remember way back in the day, late 90s, when Godzilla came out. No. Was it Godzilla or Planet of the... I think it was Godzilla. And Taco Bell did something similar where you would buy a large drink and you could buy the cup topper, and it was like Godzilla on top of your cup, and the straw went through them. But then Taco Bell also did the same thing with like Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3, where you could buy a cup and have like Jar Jar Binks or Darth Maul as
I remember those. Yeah, yeah.
So I love things like that, what you got there. I think that's great. I think that's very cool. And yeah, I wouldn't probably ever put a beverage in that thing.
No, the guy was very nice, and I even told his boss that he did a great job. Is he explained what was there? He told me the price. He, when I bought it, you got the large popcorn, and you got the large soda, and I'm like, ooh, I don't really want to put popcorn and stuff because I'm going to get butter. I don't want to put it in this. And he's like, oh no, I'll just give you a popcorn, like one of the paper ones. And so he filled it all up, and I put the butter in. He filled it all up again, and I put more butter. And then I said, well, what about the drink? And he goes, oh no, here's a cup for you. And he gave me a large cup. And it was great. I mean, everybody there was so nice about all this stuff. So
never had popcorn in his head either. And this is the Saw X popcorn bucket.
Oh, nice. How much do you remember that was?
It was like $30.
Yeah, okay.
And then I have for the latest Ghostbusters, the trap. I have one of the traps over there.
Oh, that's cool.
And
okay.
Never had popcorn. And then stashed away in the box because I didn't even want to take it out of the box from and at this point I'm like, but it was from the Ghostbusters, not the recent one where it was ice, but the one before that with the kids where Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, Afterlife.
Yes. I got the Ecto one from that, so that was pretty cool having the car. But they never, a good theater will never put popcorn in these buckets because they know they're collector's items. So
that's what I told the guy. I said, yeah, I'm buying these, to display, so I don't want to eat it. Plus, I don't really want to eat popcorn out of something metal.
Yeah, well, and something not cleaned or sanitized, because that's where so many, like when you get new dishes, the first thing you have to do is wash them to get any type of chemicals or whatever off of them before you ingest that stuff. So yeah, you want to use the paper bag or the paper cup or whatever that come ready for you to eat, where you won't have to worry about getting any chemicals or whatever in your system.
Yeah, that makes sense. So okay, so anything else? I mean, we recommend Dead Reckoning. You'd mentioned the sub, which is a great scene. The biplane scene is very long, but really good. Especially how we get rid of Gabriel, I thought was pretty funny. I like all the stuff on the island that they're on. I thought that was good. It's nice that kind of people were separated and they could kind of get their own little thing going. What else?
Probably the non-action highlight of the movie for me is when the people are talking about Ethan Hunt and who he is. And it's like, oh, he's the guy that did this, or he's the guy that did that. And they kind of flash back to the previous movies, the crazy stuff that Ethan did. And that ultimately is like leading toward him given an aircraft carrier. And then when they're flying up, and I've listened to it a few different times, and I know he's saying like, come on, man. But no, when they're in that Osprey flying toward the aircraft carrier or whatever, it's or maybe they're leaving the aircraft, or they're going to the sub, wherever it is, they're in that Osprey, and the guy next to Tom Cruise goes, come on, man. It sounds like he says, come on, Mav, like a Top Gun reference. But I've listened to it a few times, finding the clip, and I'm pretty sure he says, come on, man. But it just reminded me so much of Goose going, and I don't know if Goose ever said, come on, Mav, but I was like, man, it just, Tom Cruise being near an aircraft carrier is just as cool as it gets,
Yeah.
It just really is.
I think they should have said, because I know what you're talking about. The first time I saw it, I thought, did he say Mav? And then I listened to it because then, you talked about it with me, and so I listened. I'm like, that does sound like Mav, but I'm pretty sure it's Man. But that would have been great if they just had the one guy just be
one
like,
little slip, yeah,
come on, Mav, because they changed in Star Wars, the original Star Wars, when Luke and Leia come together, like at the end, I think it's with the Death Star blows up, and they're like running towards each other. He says Carrie, and it's instead of Leia, and that was left in there for decades. And then Lucas got his hands on it, and he changed it to Leia. So, but that was always like a famous thing, is that he did say Carrie, and they never cut it out. So I think that would be funny. He's on the aircraft carrier, and the guy says Mav, and it's just the one little thing that that you could talk about later on. And but I think it is Man. So it's just I really thought that maybe at the end, because his parachute is on fire. Oh, and I don't know if you know this, he's now in the Guinness Book of World Records for how many times he had to practice that with a parachute burning. I read that the other day, that he actually, I don't know how many times he had the parachute burning, but it was an actual parachute burning, and he had to do it many times to get it right.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. It would be interesting to see how that world record. Maybe I'll have to look that up. But I think the good thing with this is, and this is my kind of last thought on it, is if this is the last Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise, if this is it, which it felt like it, the way they were kind of giving him the attaboys at the beginning, the finality of everything at the very end, it was funny. They ended it kind of like Ocean's 11, where at the end of Ocean's 11, they're all out in front of the Bellagio, just kind of giving each other the nod and walking off, doing their own thing. And where this is like, they're all kind of doing the little nod, and I think of the funny little video, especially, with Peter Griffin doing it, the little nod where he's in the river with the fishing pole. But they just give the nod and walk off and do their own thing. So kind of showing like this is the end of an era.
Right.
From here to infinity, I cannot see any way possible that they don't make another Mission Impossible movie. I don't see Tom Cruise being involved, because Tom Cruise is not a sidekick in movies. Tom Cruise is typically, we can't say always, but he's typically not a cameo in movies. He is the movie. And so I don't see him coming back and taking on a different role. So I think Tom Cruise is done with this franchise. Who will take it over? Who knows? I don't think there's any thoughts to what's next for the franchise right now. But you could find any number of actors to take it over and move on with it down the road. But if this is the last one with Tom Cruise, I think they did good. I'm happy with it. I think it's a good way to end his run in the franchise. And the good news is we know we're not done with Tom Cruise, because we have Top Gun 3 coming at some point. And Tom Cruise is not going to retire. He may change from action hero to whatever else, but I think we're still going to get more Tom Cruise. And if his next movie that we see is Top Gun 3, whatever it's called, I can't wait. I am so excited. The first two Top Gun movies were great, and typically everything Tom Cruise touches turns to gold.
Yes, he has had his bombs, but he already shot a new movie, and it's with the director of 21 Grams, which is a really good director. I'm looking at his name here, and I'm not. Where are all of his movies? I don't see. There must be a different thing. I got to be on something different here. But yeah, he's already shot that movie, and that's done. This says here, like video. What happened with some video? YouTube video Removed. What is this?
Because it was a credit for a non-movie. It was a credit for like a YouTube video or something. So it's probably fake or something. But have you heard about this? They are planning to shoot a movie with Tom Cruise, and I'm trying to remember who else. Well, why won't you let me? You won't let me see this right now? Oh, lame. There is a movie in pre-production with Tom Cruise, and they only have Tom Cruise listed attached. But I heard a couple other names. I just don't remember who, so I don't want to say the wrong people. This movie is supposed to be actually, literally, and I believe it because it's Tom Cruise, filmed in outer space.
I have heard about that. And there are only two people who I think could pull that off. One is Tom Cruise and the other one is James Cameron. Cameron has talked about making a movie in outer space for a while.
We love James Cameron. James Cameron is also responsible for Blue People, and I don't. Let's see. The Informationist, Avatar 5, Avatar 4, Avatar. See, Avatar 3 and 4 are supposedly in post-production. James Cameron is going to be like 175 years old before he gets a chance to direct another movie, because he just takes forever to get them done. So I don't know, if Tom Cruise and James Cameron get together on that, but it would be pretty damn cool, man, because James Cameron has brought us some good stuff.
Yeah. And Cruise seems to work a lot with the same directors. So even though those directors go off and like that new, what is it, F1 movie with Brad Pitt, that's from the director of Top Gun, who also did, or Top Gun Maverick, who also did Tron Legacy, and he did, I want to say, Oblivion with Tom Cruise. So he tends to work with a lot of the same guys. So, well, because you had mentioned spinoffs. So if we kind of go back to the Bourne movies, and and then of course, you had Matt Damon, who didn't want to come back. So Jeremy Renner, there he is again. And then they do acknowledge him, or the what would you say? It's on a folder, but the team, the program. Thank you.
That he's involved
and
in.
So it does count. And then Matt Damon comes back for the Bourne Identity. So I wonder if they could, if
Matt Damon comes back for Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne, thank you. Yeah. And I guess if Jeremy Renner is up for it, from his accident, maybe he could do a spinoff with his character for Mission Impossible.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he did not rule out doing action movies when Joe Rogan brought it up. So I do think if the payday was correct, he would still do another Jason Bourne. Maybe you bring him back for a Mission Impossible, which I think Jeremy Renner would be great to lead the team. If they brought him back for Mission Impossible, but Jeremy Renner's character, he didn't die.
No, he didn't come back because he was just doing Avengers.
Okay, I thought his character.
They wanted him to come back, but no, he didn't die. He became like the guy that's at the organization.
Yeah. Because I remember him
kind of
at the end.
Scenes.
Yeah, him like with the senators or whatever, the committee at the end, walking out, and
Alec Baldwin and stuff like that. So
yeah. You know what? Jeremy Renner would be great. There's probably a few other actors I think that would be cool. Bringing him into lead, or to do a spinoff. I mean, because the spinoff essentially with Mission Impossible is going to be Mission Impossible, because it's IMF. It's just going to be a different mission, a different team, so a different team leader. So yeah, I think it's just picking the right actor that everybody wants to see. And I would definitely go see Jeremy Renner, but there's a lot of others. We could sit here speculating or kind of picking who we would love to see all night long. But I don't want to be the guy that is starting rumors of like, oh my God, like Ben Affleck is the next Ethan.
Is he?
He's not.
I heard it. I heard it online. It's a rumor, but is it true?
Yeah. He's not Ethan Hunt. He's Alex Hunt, because that's what we like to do. We like to name people Alex. So he's Alex Hunt, and he's Ethan's brother. And and so maybe the mission is Ethan was captured by these people and he's got to go find him. And instead he finds a key and is on a train that goes off a cliff. And rather than saving the key, he has to save a girl so she doesn't die.
Now we're just going back to Dead Reckoning.
Oh, shit. Well, then the train, when it falls off the cliff, it almost gets chopped up by these windmills, but it barely makes it through the windmills before it gets chopped up.
Now we're just going back to part 3. You've lost me now.
Okay. So, damn it. Okay. Well, okay.
But they could do Paris.
I won't be writing. Paris. Oh, they could totally do Paris. See, I would love to see Paris. Now, that's one you could do a spin-off where it's not a Mission Impossible movie, where it's just her dealing with shit, or a prequel with her, how she came to be who she is and stuff. Like her character, there's a lot you could do right there. That is a great idea. That would be a good one.
Yeah, okay. All right, so should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I guess so. We were talking about other movies and things, and we should have done. I wish we would have done this when way back. Was it like, I don't know, a long time ago when we reviewed Ballerina. I wish at the end of that we would have talked about other movies Keanu was doing or whatever, because not to get too sidetracked, but quickly, have you seen the trailer for Keanu Reeves' next movie? The one called Good Fortune, where he's an angel.
Oh, yeah.
Director Aziz Ansari. I don't hate Aziz Ansari, but starring Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen, and Aziz. The movie looks so stupid. I don't know what possessed Keanu Reeves to do that movie, but I hope it makes a lot of money, and I hope he had fun doing it. I don't see Tom Cruise going and doing a movie with a bunch of stoners. So I think we're safe with Tom Cruise going to outer space, Tom Cruise flying more airplanes.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah. But it's been fun. Thanks for having me again. It was
thanks for being here. Oh yeah, I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody who watched this. We really appreciate it. If you haven't seen it yet, check out our review on Ballerina. We do talk about the other John Wick movies too, and some other possible connected movies. Yes. So, all right, everybody. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Thank you, OGP. I appreciate you being here. Oh, what?
Don't forget to join John and I every Monday night, Horror Movie Monday. His channel, where you're watching right now, and my channel. Take your pick. But we do talk horror movies, and we venture off into whatever else every Monday night at 7 live. So you can bring your questions, comments, and thoughts there to give them directly to us. But for now, you got to hit the like button and you got to drop comments down below. Let us know what you think about the movie and the video.
Yes. And the link to OGP's YouTube channel is down below. So all you got to do is click on that. It's on every video. And so you guys can always click on that and join us and join just him. So, there's a lot going on over there. So it's very fun. So
Yeah.
yeah. So all right, yeah. See, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it, and we will see you on the next video.
It's a small world after all.
It's a small world after all.